When you look at big like companies, international companies saying, let us now, we want this one, China plus one, let's bet on India. Let's not bet on Vietnam, let's not bet somewhere else, let's bet on India. Big market, growing, everything else. What are some of the factors that are kept in mind? Like if you had to convince people back at headquarters or some of your colleagues had to do it, no, come make a bigger bet in India. Somebody had to tell Elon Musk, come here. What is it that they say? What are the good points, bad points? Because the bad points obviously is what needs fixing.
Yeah, I think first of all, I think there is a huge confidence in the India story. Today, Vikram, when you go out, you don't have to sell the India story. The India story is now well established. People know that we have the capability, we have the talent. I mean, initially people came in here for lower cost, but today people are coming in because of talent. You will be surprised to know that the largest number of capability or global technology centers of Fortune 5 companies in the world are in India. So we have the right talent. So that's another very, very good thing. Third, we speak English. That's a great advantage. And if you compare with the rest of the world, our democracy seems quite stable and working. So that's another one. So they trust the Indian infrastructure increasingly, and I think trust is the biggest factor, which to my mind is bringing them here. But yes, they know that we have some challenges. We have some challenges of the judicial system taking its time. But that good news is that we have a...
Everyone keeps saying that. That's the one item on the pending agenda. Yeah. You can't have cases that go on for 10 years, 20 years, 25 years. That's the one possible big thing that is holding back.
That's one challenge. Even though everybody believes that we ultimately get justice. I mean, the judicial system is there, but I think it is too delayed. And that can, in today's day and age, that may be too late. So we need to fix that part first. But otherwise, we have a very strong story as far as our people, our capabilities, our competencies, and trust is concerned. So I think that's what is bringing more and more investments in India.
All right, Mr. Bali, thank you so much for joining us. Very clear perspective of all the strengths and yes, the unfinished agenda that needs to be fixed. Dr. Singh, I just wanted to get you in on that. You heard that listing of what the good parts and the good things about India is. Unfinished agenda is something which we're keeping on looking forward to in the roadmap. What he was just saying, one of the things that people in the rest of the world worry about, long cases which go on forever, judicial delays. Would that be one of the major areas that you think needs to be fixed now in the next 5 years?
Sorry, Vikram, can you just repeat the last sentence?
Yeah, asking that as we were just hearing from Mr. Bali, there's so many things that India has going for it, so many things that foreign investors look to and get encouraged by. Perhaps the one area where they would still be somewhat concerned which we should try and fix are things like too long a process in going for arbitration or cases going on for years, if not decades, getting that sort of a thing fixed. Yeah. Policy flip-flops. That's one of the areas that still needs to be fixed in the next 5 years or 10 years.
Yeah, I think everything is good because the Western world really sees India not only as a big customer base but also as an investment base. So in that sense, it's been good. But India definitely needs both administrative and judicial reforms. The cost of doing business is still very high. The ease of doing business, in spite of several positives, is still something that we really need to work on. So these are some of the things that the Finance Minister needs to focus on. Administrative reforms is something that is immediately needed because the Indian government and the Indian people should not think that we are the only people in the world who can draw investment, because there are others who are competing with us. There are smaller companies, there are smaller countries which seem to be doing better than us in attracting investment. So we've done well, but India needs a pat on the back, but still not done. There's still a few things that needs to be taken care of.
All right, Eddie, as we're looking at the fine print in everything that we are seeing right now, the fact that there are no changes in terms of taxation, that is something pretty much to be expected. But Did you hear an indication, at least from Nirmala Sitharaman, that one of the basic principles of taxation is something that she believes in, and therefore, in case this government comes back, which of course we'll know in a couple of months, should be the principle, which is the Laffer curve, which is low and moderate taxation, ease of paying your taxes. So compliance, the fact that it's faceless, the fact that people are just being able to, you get those pre-filled forms, that seems to be something that now the government seems to be believing is very much the right direction to go. You trust in people, you allow them to pay their taxes, and you do it in a very simple manner. Your tax buoyancy will take care of a lot of the expenses that you need.
Yeah, I think over the last 5 years, I think the number of people who are filing tax is going up. But India needs to, we need to do more. Even today, close to about 20% of the people, rich farmers, who are still not paying taxes. I think it's a difficult bullet to bite, but I think it needs to be done, because we can't have a society where the rich farmers just get away by not paying anything, whereas the middle class, the salaried class have absolutely no leeway to either save taxes or so they rue the fact that they are really left out. So India needs to work, it needs to expand the tax base. And I think India has now the technology and the means to really identify those people who are not paying taxes, even if they are in the farm sector. That needs to be done. I mean, people talk about that why should farmers pay taxes, but they're close to about, our estimate and our research says that close to about 20% of farmers can pay tax, and they should pay tax. So that's one. Yes, you're absolutely right that the trust factor has really gone up. People are paying taxes, people are compliant. Having said that, I think we need to really bite that bullet, because...
All right, Dr. Singh, I'm just going to pause you. All right, Dr. Singh, I'm just going to pause you there for a minute and come back to you in a couple of minutes, because we do have Vinayak Chatterjee now joining us, the InfraVision Foundation founder and managing trustee of that. Somebody who's been leading the charge on infrastructure for a fairly long period of time. Vinayak, I think the first time I did a budget special with you would have been, what, about 20, 30 years ago maybe. And I remember you from that time have been saying, infrastructure, we need to build infrastructure. If only we would build infrastructure, the Indian economy would go to places. I'm sure you remember some of those sessions 25 years ago.
Of course I do. 30 years ago, we were both younger then.
Did you ever think a day would be coming where you would be having 11 lakh crore rupees being allocated for infrastructure spending in a single year? I'm not surprised you're smiling. You're smiling, and I'm not surprised you're smiling.
I am smiling, but I am not totally delighted, for the simple reason that you can see that the government strategy, economic strategy, has been articulated, that it was pushing GDP by infrastructure-led investment. That was the prime driver of India's economy, with major multiple effects. And in the last 2 years, if you remember, on your channel also, we discussed that year before last, the increase in allocation was 30%. It went up from 5 lakh crores to 7.5 lakh crores. And last year, it increased by 35% from 7.5 lakh crores to 10 lakh crores. So if you're talking about a continuing momentum, then the momentum is 30%. So I would have expected that a 10 lakh crore allocation last year would, as per the same inertia or momentum, moved up to 13 lakh crore allocation this time, whereas we've got only 11.1. So I console myself by saying that this is just an interim budget. And if the government is going to carry on following its policy of public expenditure, infrastructure investment-led growth to boost GDP, then when the final budget is written in June or July, we are going to get back to 30%. So let me stop here.
All right. All right, Vinayak, just hold that thought. I'm going to come back to you in a couple of minutes, because we do have the man himself, Chandrajit Banerjee, Director General of CII, the person who knows exactly what's happening with all economic policies, economic reforms, drafting the budget speeches. Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit now, CB. But what is your sense of it? Well, that's certainly the shortest speech we've heard in a long, long time. Interim budget. What did you make of it?
So I thought it was very prudent, number one, I must say that. And secondly, it was budget, if I may say, I was extremely fascinated that we kept on the path of fiscal prudence, and that was very, very critical for us to see that at this point in time. And second, the quality of expenditure, say for instance, when we look at a higher capex, we see a lot being done on social side of it. It's just not the physical infrastructure, but the social infrastructure focus. So besides the deficit, the way it has been handled. The third point, and I'll end because Mr. Singh is here. The third point that I'd like to really focus on in terms of prudence was, if you really look at the way borrowing has been handled, which leads to, I would believe, both nominal and real interest rates getting moderated, which in reality affects all people, even the common man.
Right. Well, as you said, Mr. N.K. Singh is with us as well. Such a pleasure, sir, to have you with us. Today is the day, as we've been discussing, to take stock of the last 10 years and perhaps set a roadmap for the next 5 or the next 10. How did you see the report card that she, in a sense, did present today? It was also there in the review. How do you see the report card of the last 5-10 years? And more importantly, what is the unfinished business that we need to do to keep growing at 7%, 8%, 9% and becoming a developed country? What's the